And what inspired you to make a Smash Brothers-esque fighting game? Money! Hello everyone, and today I have with me AnthonyM The Gamer Artist.
Heyo.
Gingaman Prime.
Nick.
And Ping.
Hello everybody.
And yes, we've actually tried to do this recording before. A number of things kept coming up. A couple of things that I had gotten wrong and needed to correct myself on. So we're doing this again, but it'll be first for you guys. We're going over the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl game that was announced last week. And normally I would just turn a blind eye to this and be like, it's another Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion. But
Nah, it does Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion, but better.
so far from what we've heard, it's coming from a developer that's already done a Smash-like game that's been, from what I've heard, decent to competent to good. So, that's a good sign. Not only that, but it's apparently supposed to have rollback netcode.
That's gonna be interesting.
Which, if done correctly, should definitely be a good sign of things to come, despite the actual quality of the game, but it definitely proves that they're putting in the effort.
I agree. But I'm gonna wait to see what happens. Like, just because it doesn't mean it's gonna work right away. But I'm willing to give it the benefit of the doubt right now. Basically, for those who haven't caught on to this yet, even though I'm pretty sure all of us have, Nickelodeon is making their own Smash Brothers fighting game, and from what I've seen from the footage, this is pretty much Smash Brothers directly.
No, this is like a direct clone.
Yeah, this isn't PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, where they had a little bit of some different rules. No, this one is almost one for one. You have edge guarding, you have and you do knock your opponents out of the arena. I saw that in the clip where I believe Michelangelo knocks Oblina from All Real Monsters off the screen on the Loud House stage, which, it's a walk-off stage, ban it! It's not legal, ban it!
The thing is, PlayStation All-Stars, the problem with that it had was it tried to go directly to a more hardcore audience, whereas Smash is fundamentally designed to go from casual level first, and then it was built up to a more competitive status.
Once people learned how to do it.
Yes. Then Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion tried to do something original while at the same time still sticking with the basic idea of Smash, and the execution was not all that good. Nickelodeon from
execution sucked.
Yes. And Nickelodeon, from what we've seen, is definitely going for the direct approach, pretty much doing their own Smash Brothers almost literally with their own characters.
I agree. It's not the fact that they're basically ripping off or copying Smash that I have an issue with. I don't have an issue with that. I'm just calling it as it is. It's a clone. But that doesn't mean that it's automatically bad. As I've said before, we've had some games that took the influences and ran with it, like how Diddy Kong Racing basically felt almost like a clone of Mario Kart 64, but made drastic improvements to it. And this, well, we'll just see how this one goes. That's what I'm more interested in. And so yes, we'll be comparing this to Smash because what am I supposed to compare this to? Gran Turismo?
I mean, literally, we saw people beating the crap out of each other. Plus, it's not like it's just Smash Brothers. It could just be like Smash Brothers, but with Nicktoons coat of paint on it.
And so with that, let's just go right into what caught our eyes. What do you guys think, like, really grabbed your attention on this?
Wow, this roster surprised me right away. They went for a lot of the 90s, early 2000s characters to start out, with the exception of Loud.
Right, because what other recent cartoon do they really have?
We shall see.
Hopefully. But yes, I do agree with you on that one. It's like the roster were characters that were handpicked by Nickelodeon themselves, not the developers. The developers said, it's Nickelodeon that are picking these characters. And seeing this, it feels like this is one of the best things that they have done in over a decade. Current Nickelodeon is not something a lot of us are happy with because they have the whole philosophy of, if it's not as popular as SpongeBob, get out. So, yeah, seeing them pick some characters that, well, for example, there's Powdered Toast Man, the most surprising character to me in the whole entire roster.
That was the thing that caught my eye, big time.
I think that caught literally everyone's eye that knows anything about Nickelodeon.
Not only that, but it's just like you're willing to put in this character as well as some characters that are on the box art that have been leaked. You're You're putting a character from how do I put this? The controversial. We're not even going to go into it, okay? That's how bad it is. Please don't ask.
Just how controversial he is, pretty much.
There's a whole lot of controversies with Nick execs that we do not want to go over here.
Yeah, so let's just say that alone, that they're really willing to even put in a character that was created by that, is surprising. As well as some other characters that feel like either memes or just like, wow, they remember these characters, like Oblina from All Real Monsters. They put in Reptar from Rugrats, which was probably the best choice that they could ever put in to represent Rugrats.
Since it would be very, it would feel very strange and uncomfortable to beat up babies.
Yeah.
Yes.
Again, they could use their grown-up versions from All Grown Up.
But then again, but to an extent, it would basically be the same.
True.
Yeah, it almost feels like, I still don't want to beat up these characters because I'm still always going to look at them as babies for some odd reason.
Because that's what they've debuted as.
Well,
Yeah,
that's
true.
That's how they were. That's when they were their most popular.
Exactly.
Yes. Now, I mean, they could work in the Reptar car, but that just doesn't sound like... It still feels like I don't want to go that far, but if that's the case, then this... Oh, man, I hate to make up fan rules, but do you think that actually means, like, they don't have to put in the face of the show? Like, the main characters?
I mean, Powder Toast Man was shown first, even though the actual faces of said show are still in the game, but they still showed him first.
Yeah. Even though Ren and Stimpy are on the box.
Yep, they're on the box, so...
We'll get to that later.
Yeah, well...
We'll elaborate on that a little bit later.
Seeing Nigel Thornberry get in, that was just meme material.
Smashing!
Oh, yes.
Everybody knows the
And
meme.
for now, let's just say he's not the only Nickelodeon meme dad that people want in the game.
Oh yeah, we'll get to him later.
We'll get to that later.
One thing that really did catch my eye were the designs of the turtles. They're going for the 80s style turtles. You can tell by their designs, their belt buckles, and the background level where they're on the rooftops. You can see the Channel 6 news a banner or whatever the building is, and you can also see some Foot Clan robot soldiers in the background. That's good.
Yes.
There is some nice attention to detail in this game, but the problem is, it's so faint you really have to look for it. But we'll get to that one in a little bit. What else caught your guys' eyes on this?
I was going to say, like, some of the stages were quite interesting. Seeing certain ones, like there was a graveyard clipper, and even seeing the Vader Zim getting some love was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Also, I gotta wonder, like, some of these levels, you can kind of tell where they're from. And others, I'm just kind of like, okay, yeah, what is the graveyard level? Is that from Danny Phantom, or is that from the Loud House? I honestly can't tell.
Yeah. Or SpongeBob.
Because actually there is like a manor of some kind in the background. It's faint and it's very far on the right side, but there is some kind of like indication of like there's a manor.
Oh.
It could be Danny Phantom. Just from Danny Phantom.
Oh, it could be Vlad's mansion.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, Vlad's.
There was like a junkyard stage, and I'm pretty sure that's supposed to be from All Real Monsters since they live there.
Possibly, yes.
There's also, I almost didn't catch this one, but there's Glove World from SpongeBob.
Yes.
Yep, we got freaking Glove World.
As well as, going back to the TMNT, the Technodrome is its own stage as well, which is definitely appreciated.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Ninja Turtles has 3 stages right now. They have the sewers, they have Technodrome, and they have the rooftops. And there was a snippet I saw last night. I don't know how or why I found this, but apparently it said that there would be 20 stages, there would be single and multiplayer modes, and you could unlock new moves.
New moves.
New moves?
Yes, you could unlock new moves.
Are they bringing back the Smash 4 custom specials, maybe?
Very possible. Where'd I see this? I saw this on a PlayStation site when I was trying to fix an error code, and a little pop-up just came up, started playing clips of games, and that was there. I'm like, huh, neat.
That's gonna be interesting.
It is coming out on the PlayStation, so it does make sense.
Yep. So, pretty much right now, we like what we've seen in the roster. They have a lot of from their starting point to what they have now. Another thing that I did really like was that even though it was very hard to see a lot of these attacks, there were some that you could immediately see, such as Patrick doing what looked like a down air, referencing his strawberry sundae cone from the Fry Cook games, which, that's a beautiful reference.
Yeah, it is.
As well as another one, as well as another one from SpongeBob that could very well be either his up tilt or up smash, relatively speaking. That is actually the imagination rainbow.
Yes, but the thing is, like, the footage goes by so fast, and the colors aren't saturated enough, I guess, that you can't really see these attacks that well.
Blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah.
It is.
It really is just a beta moment.
And there's also a few other things that could be seen as external factors per se, but they still ultimately connect with the actual impact and appeal of the game. A few things I'll run down through quickly, only 3 things. 1, as of the time of this recording, it's been roughly a week since well-known fighting game YouTuber Maximilian Dude did his reaction on the trailer. And it says something about the demographic of this game that someone like Max was able to recognize every single character in the trailer and the hidden ones on the box art, except the Louds. It definitely tells you who this game is actually for.
Oh yeah.
And
that is a really good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing because it says, like, oh, if this was just appealing to, like, modern Nicktoons, which is just SpongeBob and Loud House, this wouldn't appeal to anybody. But when you put in characters from basically when Nicktoons first started to right now, that opens up the demographic. That opens up more audiences. It's like, oh, I remember these characters, and if you have this one character I really want that we'll get to later, I'll buy the game. But
characters like Oblina, Reptar, Powdered Toast Man, Cat Dog.
Yes, Cat Dog is on the box art, but let's face it, that one was probably a given.
As well as a couple others we'll mention later.
Yeah.
Next is that, I don't know how or why, but someone was able to get a hand on a supposed beta tier list that the playtesters had, and from what I can remember, the only ones I can remember was SpongeBob being mid-tier, which can be the same can be said for Mario and Smash, the face of the company being roughly in the middle. But what caught my eye about that beta tier list, which obviously impacts barely anything for us since we don't give a crap, usually, but the one that caught my eye is that Zim, currently in beta, is top tier, which tells you something about the attention they're putting into some of the characters.
Zim's top tier.
He's dangerous.
Patrick is bottom tier.
Yes.
I'm not surprised about that. I mean, he's an alien. It's time to conquer. It's his time now.
He's got the armada behind him in the background of his stage, but they're just watching what he's doing.
Yep.
They don't care.
And,
yeah.
yeah.
You're
not as tall as us. What do we care?
Yeah. And one thing that definitely caught my eye that is the most impactful of these things that I've mentioned is that the fact that the developers are actively looking for character requests, and it is, I believe, confirmed that they are actively seeking these requests for DLC and post-launch support. It's widely known currently.
Yeah, there was like a tweet that said, keep them coming. But I think that's more like to drive up more interest in the game, to show to Nickelodeon. It's like, yeah, more people want more stuff. You can keep this game actively alive and make more money. But the thing is, like, people have to buy this game, okay? You can't just say, put in Hugh Neutron, and then not buy the game! You have to put your money where your mouth is!
Yeah, that another tweet that mentioned that literally says that. It's like, make sure, it's like, you gotta get into this before you get a foot up your butt, so to speak. It's
yeah,
like,
put your money
where your mouth is.
Exactly. And
And
hey,
it's
like I said before, there's one character that will make me buy this game, but we'll get there later. We'll all have our fair chance to talk about it later.
And
All right.
this one thing alone is what is most certainly going to let us springboard off into talking about other characters later. Because if it is definitively true that they are seeking those character requests for post-launch support, then we gotta hope that the game can stand on its two feet enough to let us get invested, so that support can be earned.
Yeah, the game has to be good enough that we want to keep playing it and say, give us more characters, we'll give you more money. However, just saying, like, I've heard people say that this will be like a Smash killer, and it's like, no.
Heavens no.
This is the game you... This will be like the game you play to take a break from Smash.
Yeah, this will...
At most on a generous day, it'll be a competitor. But that's pretty much wishful thinking. It'll be a few steps below Smash, obviously, because Smash is pretty much the biggest, most open fighting game of all time.
It broke records.
Yes, but I think so far, from what we've seen and what we've been talking about, Nintendo and Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl definitely has at least some potential to keep its pace as compared to Smash.
It has the fans that grew up with these characters. It has a developer that apparently knows what they're doing. And they're basically telling us, hey, we want to know who you want.
One could definitely argue that given Nintendo's practices with the fighters passes, that the developer of this game might have seen how that works, at least on a base level and maybe a little deeper in, and have probably taken the initiative of just doing that from the get-go.
Now, there was the idea I had a long time ago that maybe one of the reasons Nickelodeon is doing this, as well as putting in all these characters from the old shows, is to see which ones drive the most interest and can see what franchises and what shows could possibly be revived next. Because, yeah, Nickelodeon's kind of doing that with a number of their shows. So it makes complete sense to put out their catalog like this and then gauge interest in which ones are the most popular and which one people are going to be saying, oh, I love this show, I wish they'd bring it back.
The dots are definitely there for us, the fans, to connect as to what the plans might be in relation to what they're going to do with the game and vice versa.
Right.
The baseline is there. It's just a matter of how it will play out.
I agree with that.
Absolutely agreed.
But this game has to be good for all of this to happen. And yeah, I hope it's good. I hope it's competent. I hope, at the very worst, it's a guilty pleasure.
Yep. If you can get up to somewhat Smash levels, like art style and stuff, you might be able to get up there. And maybe a few characters.
Again, from the way the gameplay looks, they're definitely this is probably one of the first cases of a developer a lot more directly emulating Smash in terms of gameplay. So that's at least gonna give them a leg up compared to PlayStation All-Stars and Cartoon Network Punch Time Explosion in terms of familiarity with the system.
I mean, PlayStation All-Stars had a fair shot, but my main problem with that game is it did not have a lot of extra content. It didn't have all these other modes to keep you invested. Also, its balancing was not very good.
No, it was not. And again, it's been made clear many times since its release that they tried to focus way too much on the hardcore before establishing a baseline audience with the casuals, like Smash has been doing since its inception.
Okay, so issues we have. For me, there's a number of little details and animations that just do not look good. I know this is beta, but there was that scene where Leonardo's doing what looked like a down air dive kick. It was so slow. It was so bad. It just looked like someone took a still frame of the character and just moved it like it was just a picture. It was just terrible.
It looked like it was a sprite lifted from the Turtles in Time or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just took a PNG and moved it.
And what's even worse is that that's only the one time where it was slow enough to actually see things, whereas everything else is actually so fast, you barely could see anything. Things were not in good detail. For example, there's this one screenshot, or this one image of Lincoln, where it looked like he was putting on shades and that was the move, whereas no, he's actually putting on safety goggles and using what looked like a lightsaber or beam sword. And where did he get that? I'm guessing probably from Lisa, but it's like, it went by so fast you could not tell what was going on. And there were a number of other moves, such as SpongeBob doing his imagination, where we brought up earlier, you could not make that out unless you went frame by frame. There are some really good references, but they go by so fast, you can't make them out.
Yeah, that's pretty much a big problem. They're probably gonna have to slow it down after all it is beta.
They could probably it could be that they're probably playing into the practicality more too much for their own sake, rather than balance between practicality and nostalgia.
True, could be a point.
Now I will bring this up. Thankfully, it's already been kind of addressed. Where let's show that picture of Powder Toast Man again, where you cannot tell where his mouth is on his face because the colors, the shading, and the saturation almost make everything blend together. Like, once again, the details and on the characters are just not well defined. However, they did show this updated image, and as you can see, there is a huge night and day difference between them. So, if they can continue to do this, fantastic. Please continue to do this, please.
That is definitely something that developers have been trying to do more often, is trying to key in on certain things that might seem, could definitely seem off, but then fix it later. Another example of that is back when Akuma was revealed for Tekken 7, the pose he takes for the Raging Demon during that attack, it was just a bit too stiff, but by the time of E3 2016, they changed it to something that was more aligned with for example, the Street Fighter 4 counterpart, where it looked more like a fighting style pose rather than being as stiff as a piece of cardboard.
Yeah, and then it's just, once again, it's just also the attacks that are happening where you have to go, once again, image by image just to see what they're doing. There's one where Powder Toast Man, I can't remember what this was. He was, what the name of it is in the cartoon. I'm pretty sure he would do this before, where it's like, maybe it was like sprinkle cinnamon by doing the arm fart, and it would sprinkle cinnamon onto the toast or something. But once again, that was something you could not see very well. Once again, it's just hard to make out what some of these characters are really doing. Okay, here's something else. There are some animations on the characters where they're getting hit, and they just look like they have the meme of, this is fine. And then they have the animation of them actually taking the damage, whereas, in Smash, you would see them get hit, and they'll have the animation of them being attacked and then them being launched. So here it's like, just take a look at these two images where you see Patrick throwing Oblina to the floor and she's smiling, and then you see SpongeBob using his net and Patrick is just like, oh, this is fun. Please make sure that you're gonna fix this as well, because otherwise it just looks, ugh.
Yeah, it looks like they're like constantly have super armor on or something. That's
either that or they just haven't pinned the time for the flinch animation to occur.
Yeah, or they set it up improperly.
Well, the thing is, you can clearly see Patrick being hit in this image, and he's still smiling. You could tell by the shade of red that's on him. So, you have to put in an animation there that shows them reacting to being hit and then them being launched. Otherwise, it looks kinda lazy.
True.
Okay, and what issues do you guys have?
Patrick's grab seems interesting. It kind of doesn't look like a grab at all. It looks like he's just soaring for the sky when he's doing that. When he's about to grab like Nigel, I think, if I'm correct.
Right. I'm trying to remember if that's even trying to be a reference to something.
I do not know. It just looks unnatural.
Yeah, the closest thing I can think of is when his Patar is squeezing the life out of Squidward from the BC episode.
And the only other issue I saw is once Danny showed on, his face looks so rugged. What's wrong with your face, Danny? Did someone put ironing board to your face and pressed it? Like, eesh.
Yeah, once again, it's just, that's the shading, that's the saturation, and I'm hoping that they really do improve the visuals on all of the characters. We can look back on this and say, whew, glad we don't have that anymore. How about you, Anthony? You have any issues?
Not any that you've already addressed.
Okay. And Gingaman?
I just think the overall issue of the developers or Nickelodeon themselves, the possibility of just them getting way in over their heads and just getting too carried away that it might just ruin the entire game.
Okay, and any last thoughts there, Ping?
I was gonna say, like, the only character in the game that looks like the best looking is SpongeBob, which makes sense. They worked with him so long, they probably can nail his image down with their eyes closed.
Yeah.
He's the mascot, for crying out loud.
Yeah, I would say him and the Turtles. They definitely look the best in that whole thing.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so now with that out of the way, let's move on to the list of Nicktoons. Oh boy, let's just try and go over what franchises, just for quick speculation, the franchises that are official Nicktoons, not the cartoons that they've aired before, like Kappa Mikey or the Brothers Flub. And we're not going to talk about live action shows because we don't really want to get into the whole mess of like actors giving out their likenesses and licensing like that. Let's just stick with Nicktoons and not things like Nick Jr. because I don't think they're going to put Blue's Clues in here. And even though I think game show stuff would be fun for like a stage or like the announcer, let's just stick with the Nicktoons that Nickelodeon owns.
All right.
And thankfully, we have a full list. And let's try and go through this real quickly because there is a lot of them.
Oh boy.
The first one up is Doug, which is unfortunate because you are owned by Disney now, so...
Actually,
yeah.
I think somebody mentioned this, but neither Nickelodeon nor Disney actively own the character Doug.
Wait, really?
But rather the company that animated him owns the character.
So like the company says co-produced, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, we'll just have to figure out what happens.
Honestly,
but
though,
until then, if Doug doesn't show up, I'm assuming Disney has a hand in it.
Yeah, it seems that the company behind Doug is more on good terms with Nickelodeon than with Disney, though. So they may have a chance. But it's a very slim one.
Yeah. Alright, next up, Rugrats. And we already have Reptar, which is, like we already said, the best representative of this show. Not the face of the show, but definitely one of the main characters, or not even like a main character. It's like just, it was so weird that they put in, how do I put it? It's a show within the show. So, the only other character I can think of that they could possibly put in is Grandpa Lou, just for the memes.
Yeah.
But I think Reptar is probably the best pick, so I'm okay with that.
Yeah, Reptar seems to be the only good rep for that show.
I mean, nobody's really a fighter in there besides Lou. If I'm correct, he was a soldier.
Yeah, there we go. He'll attack with his armrest chair.
Oh my jeez.
Okay, next up we have the Ren and Stimpy show, which you basically already have three characters already. Ren and Stimpy, they're on the box art, and Powdered Toast Man, and there's even a stage for Powdered Toast in there. I saw that one, it was very quick, and apparently the toast coming out of the toaster is a stage hazard, so that's interesting.
That's kind of funny.
Nice little touch.
Yep.
Yes.
I'd like to think that Ren and Stimpy are a duo fighter.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
We're gonna have to wait and see what happens with duo fighters, if they even have that.
I just realized they could be the Banjo-Kazooie of the bunch. Ren's the banjo and Stimpy's the kazooie.
That'd be weird.
I almost think of it as like the other way around, to be honest, but...
Yeah, that could work.
It would be weird, but I
It
love
would.
that's weird.
Yes.
Okay, next up, Rocco's Modern Life, and just saying if you put in Powdered Toast Man, really, really big man deserves to have a chance for this.
The crossover we've always wanted.
No.
Absolutely. Now, if I were to gauge who I think would be the three most likely characters to represent the show, Rocco, Heifer, and really, really big man.
Poor Filbert. Yeah, I think those are probably the best chances, best characters to get in as well. So, honestly, I think like 3 or 4 characters at the max, and then you have to remember that we don't even know how big the roster is going to be. It could be huge, but maybe they're only going to do like, I don't know, maybe 20 characters, 25 characters, 30 characters? I have no idea. Just to play it safe and then have the requests come in for the DLC. So,
Like I said, I'm just shooting in guesses into who I think would be the best representatives for said series.
right. Okay, next up, Real Monsters, and we already have Oblina. They could put in Ickis and Crumb, but we'll see. We'll see.
Honestly, those three are the best to represent the series. They're the main trio.
Right. And then we move on to Hey Arnold, which, once again, like we said, you can put in characters from the show, even if it's not the main face of the show, like we said with Reptar. So, Helga's already in. What about Arnold? Would Arnold fit well into a fighting game like this?
Jungle movie stage.
Okay. Like,
Sorry,
trust me, I would love to see Arnold in there. I think Gerald would be a fun character to also have in there. But we really don't know how many they're gonna pick, and well, I just feel like those three are the best characters to represent the show.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't know if we're gonna get any more than that, or if it's just gonna be Helga, which would be really weird.
Yeah.
That would be weird.
If it was Helga, it would be weird. I mean, it makes sense why she was picked first. She's the only one who can basically throw hands with anybody in the show.
Yeah, she's got the violent temper to... well, she was the bully of the show, and she's aggressive. So she even had this one attack I didn't even notice until, once again, I had to go still frame images, where she's basically kicking up dirt, and that's one of her attacks.
Something tells me that could be like a down tilt.
It very well could be. It was in there like her introduction thing, so
Yeah.
if you missed it, I don't blame you. Okay, next up, I'm really hoping these guys get in, the Angry Beavers. You have
Honestly,
Daggett and Norbert, or Norbert and Daggett, whichever way you want to say it. I thought they were both born at the same time, though I think Norbert is older.
Yeah, I think so.
This one, you guys have said... Sorry, go ahead.
I feel like they would be a duo fighter.
I agree
Yeah,
with that.
Yes.
That's what I was going to say. It's like you guys have been saying since we first saw this stuff, and Angry Beavers came up. It's like you guys would want him to be a duo fighter. I kind of don't see it happening, but I can get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly,
And-
it'd be difficult.
May I
mean,
make
they
a
do-
suggestion real quick?
Yes?
I was going to say they could be like the Pyre and Mithra, or maybe Sheik and Zelda, where they just swap out.
That's
Maybe.
possible. That's possible.
But the only thing how I can see it working is to like, alright, slap my hand. Alright, let's go.
Yeah,
Yes,
like,
yes.
tag mechanic. Yeah, like literally
Tag
like
me in.
wrestling tag in.
Tag me
Yes.
in.
It's nothing new for them.
All right,
Now, the
next up.
one,
Yeah,
Yes,
the next
the
one
next
we
one-
already know based on the box art cover, Cat Dog. And just saying, I think that's probably the best representation for the show. I don't really think they need to add anybody else.
Yeah, Cat
Yeah.
Dog seems like the best rep for the show.
Cat Dog specifically, I can see as a duo fighter.
Well, they're
Well,
kind
Just because
together
it
already.
would be by default. Just because by default.
There's no way you can't make them a duo fighter.
This
Now-
basically feels like the real Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that statement there.
Kinda. Now there is one thing the one detail I do want to bring up with Cat Dog. If they get like their own stage and it involves the house, that
Yes.
and if this game wants to play into the meme culture, which does kinda look like it's doing to a small degree, but if they want to really play into like some of the memes come from their cartoons, you could have like a stage element where Winslow, the little rat dude, just comes out of his door, sees the fight going on the stage, and then immediately goes back in.
That would just be funny.
I would.
Yeah.
I mean,
I can
was
see
gonna
that.
say they could put the stage from or like that hillbilly place when they were looking for their parents. That could be interesting. looking.
From the Cat Dog movie, yeah, that
Yeah.
could work too.
Yeah. The only other characters I could see is like the bullies, but that's pretty much it. And
Yeah.
I don't think nobody
That would be-
wants them.
No. No.
That
Yeah,
would
because
be-
the whole thing about Cat Dog is that almost every episode they get beaten up just for existing.
Yeah.
Yep. And next up, we have the Wild Thornberries, which we already have Nigel Thornberry, but if they were to put in another character, I could actually see the adopted boy Donnie get in there, just because he was basically raised by apes, so him having like this completely wild nature to him wouldn't seem completely out of place.
If you've seen the show, you definitely can tell that he has the agility for it at the very
Yeah.
least.
He's the Tarzan of the bunch.
Yes, and I honestly wouldn't mind, like, at the very least, a reference, like the main character as a background element, Eliza, at the very least.
Yeah. I mean,
I
that's
know.
fine. Like, I don't really see her as the fighter, but I'm not the one making the choices, so...
Yeah, I know it's wishful thinking, but it would make sense.
Yeah. And then next up, we have SpongeBob SquarePants, who already has, 2 stages and 3 characters, and I'm hoping that the show's, maybe the maximum limit is either 4 or 5, depending on how popular or how iconic the show is, and I'm saying SpongeBob, yeah, we can put in some extra characters for him. I don't think anybody would have much of a problem, because you could put in almost anybody from this show, and they would work. You could have Squidward, you can have Mr. Krabs with an Echo Fighter of Plankton using imitation crabs.
That would be a really cool reference. And in terms of what we did get, it makes absolute 100% sense to have SpongeBob, Patrick, and Sandy, especially since not too long ago, Battle for Bikini Bottom did get that remake.
1 year.
And just from and it does make sense for at least them to be there, since they do have at least some kind of leg room to work with, at least in terms of what they have in that game and beyond.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, they could put in just about any character like Larry the Lobster, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, and they could even put in Fred with having a taunt that says, "My leg!"
Or even have him as a background element.
Agreed.
Yes.
True. I mean,
with the way. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say the only other background element they could add is chocolate.
There is so much potential they can do for this.
Yes.
There's a Jellyfish Fields. There's a Jellyfish Fields level. They could even put in Kevin getting stung with or just the little anchovy guys in the background. Anytime somebody gets knocked out, they just go wah wah wah.
True. I mean, we can already have.
Yeah,
I was gonna say we could also just add Flying Dutchman ship, the Graveyard, Rock Bottom.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe, there's also other ones like Kelp Forest, even the Mermaid layer with
the Mermaid layer. Yes. Pretty much any location from Battle for Bikini Bottom.
Yeah, you're right. I completely forgot about the Flying Dutchman ship. So that's 3 stages, not 2.
Yeah, with the Flying Dutchman as a hazard around there, or you have to beat him up.
Yeah,
he's in the background. He's in the background.
True.
Mm-hmm. Now the one thing I can see them doing with Fred, and it's it is very recent, but when they added Kazuya to Smash, they had Heihachi in the background, and he reacts to your KOs, and they could do that with Fred. And when someone gets KO'd, that's when he says, "My leg."
Maybe.
Maybe
they'll have random characters in the background, like on the King of Fighters stage.
That too.
Okay.
I mean, that's the obvious. It's the obvious way to do it.
Yep. Moving on, we have Rocket Power, where the kids are basically athletic. They use skateboards.
Extreme sports.
They use skateboards. They use surfboards. They play hockey and other sports, I believe. So that pretty much kind of writes what their moveset could be if they were to be put in.
I could definitely see them as being more mobile compared to other characters, being faster, having much better mobility, whether in the air or on the ground, or just because they have that skill with all the extreme sports that they do.
Yep, and then you have the next show, which this one just feels more like a slice of life show, and we don't really know if they would put in a character from this, is As Told by Ginger. So,
yeah. I've never seen the show, so no comment.
I've seen it, and I cannot see a single character being playable. Maybe a stage dedicated to the show, but further from that, no character. I can't see a single character being playable in the same vein as SpongeBob or Powdered Toast Man.
True. The only thing they could put in is spirits or a trophy for it. That's pretty much it.
The only characters I can see even come close is her brother, which gets in the mischief, but that would just not feel right for some reason. And then there was the girl that's is sort of a bully to her, but even then it's we already have Helga representing that. Do we need another one?
True.
So I think As Told by Ginger, probably not going to get a whole lot of representation. Whereas the next one, the Fairly Odd Parents, there's so much you can do with this, and it's surprising that they haven't already. It's surprising that they haven't already announced the characters already. I'm pretty sure if Timmy's there, he's gonna have Cosmo and Wanda in the background of a Z-axis, where it's more like Arsene the Joker is, and every time he tries to make an attack, it's basically him making a wish, and then they just raise their wands in the background, and, well, something happens. So, that's the way I can see...
Either that or they
I can see it.
turn into the weapons.
Yeah, that's another thing. They could actually turn themselves into weapons.
Or they could be like the Rosalina and Luma of the bunch, but he has 2 instead of 1.
Yes.
There's a whole lot of ideas you could do with just Timmy.
Cat.
And then there's the idea if they even want to put in some of the characters from the show itself, like the Crimson Chin, or Catman, or what was the other one?
Crash
The space
Nebula.
guy? Crash Nebula.
Nebula.
Crash Nebula.
Yeah, so if they even wanted to put in characters from that, you could do that as well. And either way, I kind of think Fairly Odd Parents should get a lot of representation. It was one of the longest running Nicktoons, so it definitely deserves that.
I will say, like, the only other characters you could put in would be, like, Vicky, since she's the only one that can probably fight the most out of that show. That or Jorgen, and a good idea for multi-melee would be the Pixies, actually. They all look the same except for the head guy, so it could work.
That was my idea, by the way.
Yeah, I stole your joke. You weren't talking?
It's fine. The idea still works.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Timmy, Vicky, and the Crimson Chin would at least be the 3 best reps.
Or Crocker.
Yes.
Yes, Crocker. Just going back to Vicky real quick, I can definitely see her holding things like a chainsaw and a flamethrower.
Yep, I can see it too.
Vicky was brutal.
Oh, yeah.
There's one more character, Jorgen.
Right, but who was it that brought up the idea of having Jorgen combined with the evil doctor from Jimmy Neutron as like a boss?
Jorgen combined with Professor Calamitous.
That needs to happen.
You can show that right here in the video.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, that would be a good idea for that one.
I doubt that they'll do it, but that's a great idea. Next up, we have Invader Zim, and I think we already have Zim and his stage.
Yes.
Not sure if they would do anybody else.
There is one they could do. They could do Dib's dad, Professor Membrane.
That would be great. I just don't know if they would. But hey, if we keep sending in enough requests, maybe.
That's the only one. The only one you can also probably put in would maybe be Dib, or if it's possible, maybe send Gur out by himself, but that's highly unlikely.
Part of Zim's moveset, though.
Yeah, Gur's already part of there.
True.
Yes.
It would seem a bit weird, but I don't know. It's their rules, so.
Hey, but then again, Smash 4 had Crom in Robin's final smash,
Actually,
and Crom still got in as an
Actually,
echo.
I just realized they could put Gur, because I think if I'm correct, every alien has their own Gur, so...
Well,
Sir, I
is
believe.
kind of just one unique one out of a bunch
But it wouldn't.
of
But it can't be the same one though. If
True.
That's the
but,
problem. I mean, it could.
That is true.
Who knows what their rule sets are for this? But I think that's pretty much our best chance for those 2 characters, or at least for Professor Membrane. I'm hoping he's the one that gets in out of. If anything else from Invader Zim gets in, I'm hoping it's him. Just for the laugh. Just for the laugh. Next up, we have.
He's got the arms for it.
Yep. Next up, we have Chalk Zone, which Rudy using the chalk to create attacks could very well work. We also have Snap, who would feel like. I think Gingaman, you said this before in our previous recording, where he could basically be the Mr. Game & Watch of All-Star Brawl.
If it can be compared to anything, the best fit for Snap would be a Game & Watch-esque style of play.
Right, and then you also have basically Chalk Zone itself that could be a potential stage, which there's a lot that could go on in the background of that one as well, so really hoping that they do that. Also, we didn't really talk about stages for some of the shows, but some of them are a lot easier to pick from others, like going back to Fairly Odd Parents real quick, Fairy World definitely could be their stage.
Yeah, Fair World. I could also see maybe the Doug Dimmadome Western stage as well back then. and the comic books when he goes into, and the video game world.
Someone in the comments is gonna say put Doug Dimmadome in as a fighter, and you better put your money where their mouth is, otherwise don't even bother.
It'd probably be an assist.
I'd rather prefer him as a boss, actually, just for
Or
the
assist.
levels.
He would be a
Or
great
assist.
assist character.
And then next up, we have The Adventures of Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. Jimmy
Oh,
just
boy.
has to get in. Just has to.
You got a load of different characters we could pull from this one.
Oh yeah, Ultra Lord. They could have Goddard. Who else? I mean, there's a number of them, but I think the one character besides Jimmy that seems to be getting a lot of votes right now is his dad, Hugh Neutron.
Yes.
Especially because of that stunt that his voice actor pulled.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah, this voice actor went out of his way to acknowledge, like semi-acknowledge, like people wanting him in the game, and that he's pretty much ready and able to do it if he ever gets the call from Nick to do it.
Honestly, all of the VAs seem to be ready to reprise their roles.
I believe Mark DiCarlo, I believe his name is.
Good man, good man.
For Hugh Neutron,
I
yes.
mean, there is. I was gonna put my 2 cents. I was gonna say the only other character they could put in it would be Jet, the spy guy.
Jet Fusion.
Jet Fusion, and maybe put as like a boss would be like the mad scientist dude.
Professor Calamitous, yes.
Yes.
Yep, that could work.
Although another candidate for a boss could be Poltra.
Or the aliens.
The
Those two
Yokians.
aliens.
Well, the Yokians could fit better as another option for a multi-man.
That's true.
Yes, that's true.
Also, let me just think this right now. Jimmy was voiced by the same VA that did Coco Bandicoot from the Crash Bandicoot series up until Crash 4.
Or you know.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Cindy is also voiced by the same person who does Sandy Cheeks.
That too.
Yeah. That's pretty easy.
And actually, from Resident Evil 4, if no one's gonna mention it, I'm gonna mention it.
Okay?
I did not know that.
I'm not responsible for any of that.
Okay, so moving on, we have All Grown Up Rugrats, which
Yep.
yeah, I kind of want to skip this as well because I still don't feel comfortable fighting these characters.
No comment.
We can basically lump it together with Rugrats, and we'll be good.
The I think like maybe the only character that might be possible is Angelica, but I'm not sure. So
Me neither.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
and I am talking All Grown Up version, but
Right.
next one, definitely one big pick here. If this character's not in, something's off. My Life as a Teenage Robot XJ9.
Yes.
XJ9 is a
Yes.
do it.
Yes.
Why wouldn't you want to put this character in? Just answer me that.
Both Jenny and the next two are the very obvious picks that people are gonna notice if they're not there. But we'll get to the other two later.
Honestly, though, for My Life as a Teenage Robot, I think that not only Jenny, but also Queen Vexus would be a good character to put in.
That would be a good chance for another villain. Yes.
Yeah, Queen Vexus or the bicycle space gang. That's
That too. The biker gang. Yes.
hacker gang.
The action shows definitely have a lot more potential for this kind of game.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly,
I mean-
and the next two shows definitely show that potential because one of them is already in, and the other one is basically already hinted at. And if they're not in, I'll be upset. But we'll get to that in a little bit. Next
be
up
the
is
only one.
Danny Phantom,
Yes.
already in the game.
He's in already.
Absolutely.
Yes.
He deserves more attention.
Yes.
Now, whether or not they'll put in more characters is unknown, but if they were to put in some, I would probably say either Vlad or the other ghost hunter. I can't really remember her name, but
Valerie.
you know what I'm talking about. Valerie.
Yeah. And that could work, or maybe like one of the other ghosts, just as like a side thing, or maybe like an assist.
And and the very obvious pick for a stage, the Ghost Zone.
Oh, actually, I think
the city.
I think that's already a stage. I think there was like a stage where it looked like it was like green mist with a bunch of doors in the background.
Yeah, even better. It's already in there.
Yep, already there. Yeah, it was once again, it was another one of those blink and you miss it type of deals. Okay, next one up is Avatar: The Last Airbender. We've already seen reports of people saying that Aang and Korra are on the box art. You can tell by the silhouette. And there's already a stage that looks like it's directly from Avatar, and with the fact that the series is basically getting like its own big studio that's going to have projects from now until 2041, I believe. Yeah, if Avatar doesn't get in, a show that I have still not seen yet doesn't get in, I'll be upset because there's no reason not to have this.
I'm
pretty much
screenshots.
I'm pretty much 100% sure that the same screenshot that shows the updated Powder Toast Man, that stage is literally from like I think book 2 of Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Yeah, I think so too.
All of Ba Sing Se.
The stage was already shown in the trailer. Just saying.
I think it could have been like the upside down temple. It could be. I don't know. I'm just speculating
Yeah,
at this point.
that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
the next two I have no thoughts, no comments on. That being Cat Scratch and the X's. Just
They're going to put a fighter in. It's going to be the main trio: Gordon, Waffle, and Mr. Black. But I feel like that's the only thing they could do.
And also a very notable reference with the Cat Scratch trio is that Mr. Blick, the black cat, one of his alts, without a shadow of doubt, has to be the whole green dyed one that they made a joke about. That's called Mr. Pickle.
I mean, it's possible.
That's one of the more notable jokes of the series.
I watched these ones the most back then when they were obscure. I know the only way how they could do their ult would maybe be the robots, and Final Smash would probably be the Kraken. That's pretty much it. The X's, they're just a modern spy family. You can figure that out.
Yeah, I have not seen that show at all, but it's like, it's a spy family, so you should have stuff to work with from that.
It's pretty easy to figure out.
The X's is a decent... Yeah, the X's is a decent watch, but in the long run, not a lot of it is pretty memorable aside from some of the basic character traits and the stereotypes that are associated with those traits.
The thing is, there are over 50 Nicktoons on here, so I doubt that they're going to have a representative of every show. So, when you're looking at the category and listing like this, it does feel like unless there's a huge demand for these characters, they're probably going to go unnoticed.
Although one could argue that the next one definitely would at least seem to have that demand at first, El Tigre.
Yeah, El Tigre, the next one, definitely feels like it fits in way better than the other two, just being honest. And there's like I wouldn't say a cult following, but there's still people that really want the show to continue.
I agree with that.
Myself.
I Mile, the show is probably the most potential of every show on here.
Yes.
So yeah, like there's at least 3 characters that could work: El Tigre, White Pantera, and Puma Loco.
Yeah, that's pretty much the big 3.
Yeah, himself, his dad, and his grandpa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alright, and next up, we have Tak and the Power of Juju, which feels like it comes full circle because this was a video game first and then they made the series.
Yep.
It was a video game made for Nick.
Yep, it was. I remember the Great Juju Challenge on GameCube. They were a video game.
I have not played it or watched it, but I was very aware of this, and it does seem like, once again, it's another kind of like magic type sort of deal, so
yeah,
whatever you want to pick from that.
Definitely, his games are pretty good. They're at the very least average, but in a good way. And the show that the games spawned is at least, first of all, at least more memorable than the X's, because it was given a lot more attention. So, like, if you ever get a chance to play some of his games or watch the show, go ahead. It's worth a shot for anyone that's a fan of like this era of Nickelodeon.
Yeah,
I recommend it.
Game's average, just platformer stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, our next one is actually back at the barnyard where, I guess, Otis, maybe? The cow?
Seems to be the only...
Yeah.
And...
The only other one would maybe be Snotty Boy, but I don't see him as it. I don't... Too unlikable.
Probably a background
honestly,
element.
Though,
Yeah.
There's not much they could do with this show, and Otis has appeared in the Flash game Smash clones that Nick used to make.
Yeah, that is true. He was.
And following this show is The Mighty Bee, another cartoon from Nickelodeon that I did not watch, so no comment for me on this.
Thankfully, I have.
Another one that's worth a watch, just from like the wacky antics.
Yeah, I can totally see what
the character that can
moveset would be.
Is the main character Bessie Higginbottom.
Yeah,
yes.
That's pretty much the only one. I can see her like Final Smash being like, I would now turn to the Mighty Bee! And then maybe using Happy as like a sort of like special and stuff. And maybe along with her brother. Pretty much all I could see for her.
Decent pick.
Decent. Probably won't.
Alright, and now...
Oh, gosh.
For cartoon fans like us, is pretty much an elephant in the room. The show that Nick turned up Adventure Time for, Fanboy and Chum Chum.
Yeah, they turned him down for
Guilty
this.
pleasure.
I just could not watch this show. I really couldn't.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm surprised Teen Me liked this.
Yeah, I'm surprised I was able to tolerate it. I was just like, whatever. I don't really care.
I dare you to go back and watch an episode. Let's see how it still
Yeah.
stands.
Honestly, though, I feel like
It doesn't stand. It got its legs cut off.
there's a few reps that could actually work. The main one being Fanboy and Chum Chum themselves as a duo.
Well, yeah.
Only if I get to beat him up.
Hey,
Make them low tier.
hey, that'd be a nice.
Wow.
What, like Captain Planet in Punch Time Explosions?
Oh my
That's the
god.
only reason why they wanted him in there.
Wow, CJ. So you're fine with beating up these kids, but not the babies? Okay.
I mean, everybody's
Hey.
fine with beating up these kids.
Hey, just saying, if you played Smash, especially the Ultimate, you have no problems beating up Ness and Lucas. If you can get a hand on them, that is.
Touche.
Oh, yeah.
They're psychokinetics, so
Yes.
they can defend themselves.
They can do. They have a reason.
Besides, there's also characters like Toon Link and Villager.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is Villager a kid?
I don't know.
Yes.
We definitely had
Depending
a
on the
lot
games.
Well, there's Young Link and Toon Link, but they still carry weapons, so.
True.
Yeah. Well, those are chosen. Well, Link, no matter what game you're looking at, is always a chosen one that can defend himself pretty darn well.
Yep. Alright, next one. Oh.
Let's just skip Planet Sheen.
Yes.
No comment. We just no
This one,
comment there.
this is another one we can lump with its main show and keep moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No comment.
Next one is Tough Puppy, which another one I didn't watch. So, but
Decent
you know,
watch.
I didn't watch it. It's another Butch Hartman one, but it was just it didn't appeal to me that well. But I definitely knew it existed.
There are only 2 reps you can really take from this show.
Just the main
Dudley and
characters.
Kitty.
Yeah, like Dudley and Kitty, and that's pretty much it.
The next one is a bit odd and a bit difficult. It's co-owned by Nickelodeon. It's the Winx Club.
No
Which-
comment.
Oh,
From
watch
my
that either.
from my experience with this show, and I've actually seen a little bit of it here and there. This is definitely a much bigger gray area than some of the others that we've seen and probably will see later. And it's like it's the fact that it's Nickelodeon isn't the only channel that's aired it, but on the other hand, they co-own it, so it's a pretty big gray area to be sure,
kind of a reverse situation of Doug,
more or less.
where rather than them being rather than them owning it and it being passed on to someone else owned it and it was passed on to them.
Oh,
Yes.
interesting.
That is exactly what happened. Because I remember, if anyone remembers, like the Jetix blog back when Toon Disney still existed, and it's like that. It aired on that channel too for a little bit, not too long, because Jetix had its own like version of this show. But I think I managed to catch like a couple episodes of this show on Jetix at one point. But again, a gray area.
Yeah.
Next up, The Legend of Korra, and I'm pretty sure she's already in.
Yeah,
Yep.
Korra's already in, judging by the box art.
Yep.
Yeah, but this one,
not much to say about this.
other than lumping this one together with Last Airbender. But then again, not only are they both in, again, the most successful IP critically that they have.
It would be a shame if they weren't.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Another one I had no idea this show even existed. It's Robot and Monster.
I've seen it.
What?
It's slice of life. It's pretty much them just hanging out, stuff like that. It's not really any potential.
There's not really
Fighting.
much you could do with this, so
Nah.
There's nobody throws hands, so you're fine here.
Next up, we have the 2012 Ninja Turtles. And just saying, if Raphael and Donatello don't show up from the 80s version for whatever reason, they can always use these versions. No problem. Ninja Turtles is already well represented with 2 characters, and let's see, was it in 3 stages? Yes. So I think they're gonna be fine. I don't think we really have much to say about this other than most of the main characters, Raphael, Donatello, maybe by some slim chance of Splinter and Shredder, and in our last recording we actually forgot to bring up Casey Jones.
Yeah, that's
oh yeah.
I
Yeah.
brought him up, but it was way too early. So that was my bad.
I just thought of something. You forgot Bebop and Rocksteady.
Oh
That
yeah.
too.
Right.
You-
At the very least,
Oh,
it
also,
could be a double boss.
also one more thing. Hello, Krang.
Oh,
Krang,
geez.
easy.
Yes.
definitely be a boss.
Yep.
Now
Yeah,
I
plus-
feel. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say they could also do a promotion with Batman since they didn't make a movie with him, like a little bit.
Yes, they did have the crossover, and they do have the Ninja Turtles in Injustice 2, where you can actually fight Batman with the Ninja Turtles. So
Yeah, I mean they got
If-
away.
if Warner Brothers,
Warner-
if Warner Brothers wants to play nice, yeah, you could have a guest character of Batman.
True. I mean they brought blood in that show. They could probably do it here in the movie. They could probably do it here.
No, well,
I'm just
no,
kidding.
No,
They're
no.
not gonna do it in game, but you could probably
No,
bring
we should-
Batman here.
Should we probably tackle Rise now, or should we just leave it for later on the list? Because I think Turtles is big enough IP overall that we can probably bring up Rise now as well.
Rise.
All right, let's just bring up Rise right now. No comment on that show though, unless they're gonna use that version of Raphael, the most distinct looking one of the turtles.
He is the leader in that show.
Also, by
True.
the way, shameless plug, watch Monkey Kid. It's made by the same people. It's great. And it's a Lego IP, but that's
The Lego
another
IP,
story.
yes, that is another great show. Not a
Hmm.
Nicktoon, hence why it's not showing up here at all, but that's another great show made by the same people that made Rise, and Rise itself is a pretty decent watch for the most part. I would recommend it.
Agreed.
Anyways.
Yep. Now we start to enter what I would consider Nickelodeon's dark age of cartoons, with only a few standouts. Everything else is just like I could not bring myself to watch them.
Yeah, I stopped watching TV around that time.
And the very obvious elephant in the room that's already in the game, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to that one later. This one, however, the one coming after the Turtles is Sanjay and Craig, which, yeah, technically you could put them in there. They could also be like this could basically be like Lucas, where he's using the snake as a grapple.
Quite
I don't
literally.
know.
Quite literally.
From my experience, Sanjay and Craig isn't as bad as the other Dark Age shows. It's not as good as some of the nostalgia ones, but it's decent.
I've never seen it, so I can't comment.
I heard it kind of bordered on a lot of gross humor.
Yeah.
But then again, we have Ed, Ed, and Eddie, which reveled in that.
Yeah, but that was Cartoon Network.
Plus Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, Ren and
Well,
Stimpy
yeah.
too. So
That's
I'm not sure how much gross humor I can take.
Each his own.
Yeah, fair enough.
But Sanjay and Craig can definitely work as like
They can.
like you said, like a Lucas.
Yeah.
But more so because Craig also has top billing with Sanjay.
Yeah. Next up, brother, can we just skip this one? Breadwinners.
I've never even heard of the show,
This
so
is not worth mentioning ever again.
I've never heard of the show, so I can't comment.
Okay, let's bring up one of the bright spots of their dark ages, Harvey Beaks, which
This one got so screwed over, it's disgusting.
oh yeah, and I'm also gonna say like when it was first marketed, I was just like, this does not look interesting to me at all. And
But it was-
when I actually
but it
did
was
catch a few episodes, I did catch a few episodes by accident, and then I just started to watch them like, this actually isn't really bad. This is actually kind of good. And then they put the second season on Nicktoons TV to die.
Wow.
I'll say this.
I thought it was Nick Jr. they put that on.
The Mixels effect.
No, that does not belong on Nick Jr. But yeah, this is one of those shows in cartoon history that you honestly would not believe it would have gotten screwed over just from the quality of it. And then when you look further ahead into its history, and it's like, what happened? And you just like, you start, feeling sorry for this show from how good it is.
Correct me if I'm wrong here, but who created the show? Was it Maxwell Adams, or was it the guy who did Chowder?
I'm checking right now.
I'm hoping it's Chowder.
C.H. Greenblatt, Chowder, yes.
So it's Chowder, yeah.
Oh yeah! Ah!
Man,
And wasn't he also a staff member on the SpongeBob team before?
Yes.
Early on,
yes he was.
Early
Yes he
on.
was.
Yeah.
I can see
Thanks.
maybe Harvey Beaks' two friends getting in. I'm not sure about Harvey Beaks himself. Like the two chaotic kids, they might work. I'm not sure about Harvey Beekman, and that's kind of a sad thing.
I can see the girl working.
But once again, we've already established that you might not get the face of the show to be the fighter because, well, we had Reptar for Rugrats.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what you could. I mean, that one you could save for the babies, but in this case, you can see any of the three working.
Mm-hmm.
And this show deserves it. This show deserves to be acknowledged.
Yes. Okay, next up. Oh my gosh.
No comment. I have no relation to this.
We know nothing about this one. Pig, goat, banana, cricket. We know barely anything.
The only thing I saw was like a commercial where they all do a high five and say "Pig, goat, banana, cricket." I'm like, what the heck? Who came up with this? What is this? Ugh. Okay, next up, and this is the one that's also going to get a ton of representation because of how it's still popular. Like, okay, I have a lot of issues with the Loud House. It's not that I hate the show, but I think it's probably extremely overrated, and it just feels like it's being so mass-produced that they don't really care about the quality of the show anymore. The writing, it just feels like once you know what the plot of it is, you know how it's going to end. Some of the characters are just degrading in some areas, and then you have the animation where it's like, if that character isn't talking, they're not moving. And I even mean like they're not even blinking. So
you can basically sum up the show like this. It definitely had the sheer potential to be the next SpongeBob in a good way. And it just threw it all out the door. Threw it out the window faster than the Flash running around the world.
Yeah, it's so sad that this show could have been really, really good. It had the potential, and it became like the Dark Age of SpongeBob, where, once again, it just felt like it was being mass-produced. And what I mean by that is they wanted more episodes within less time, and I think with even less money, maybe? Yeah. That's what happened to SpongeBob. I don't know if that's the same case here, but... something went wrong here, something went horribly wrong.
Although, speaking of SpongeBob, ironically enough, the one thing we can be grateful for the show for doing is that SpongeBob kicked things into high gear and got good again around the same time.
Yeah, that's because the creator came back, but I think it's also because they were producing so much of the Loud House that they could take spotlight away from SpongeBob to make that good again.
Yeah, and thankfully when Steven Hillenburg, rest in peace, came back to SpongeBob for the if I remember, starting with the second movie, and that was really good. And then SpongeBob started to really ramp up again in terms of quality. The episode in particular that definitely shows that is the one where SpongeBob morphs his body to mimic everyone, but then eventually has an identity crisis.
That's where the chicken meme came from.
Yes.
No. That's not the chicken meme. The chicken meme is from the diary episode.
Yeah, that's the diary one.
Okay. The long and short of it is that SpongeBob, it's like Loud House went so downhill that the timing seems pretty close to perfect for it to be the cause for why SpongeBob got good again.
Yeah,
that's the only good silver lining you get, Loud House. Okay.
However, because of how popular this show is, I'm pretty darn sure that they're going to put in one of these three characters, if not all three of these next characters. There's Lin Lau Jr., who... That's one of the characters I just do not like in this show, because I feel like this is a character that needs a major redemption. Because they've been really annoying in a lot of them, and it just feels like she never learns a lesson. The next one is Luann. Another character at least has some good character development. I'll give the show that. There were some characters that had some pretty decent character developments. She had a little bit of it, but I would still consider her very annoying. And then there's Luna, who, I'm not a fan of this character either. Mainly it's because it feels like there's some misconception with her. Like, a lot of fans see her as the secondly motherly type, and I'm like, no, not even close. She comes off as very selfish in my eyes, and I can list off a number of episodes to prove that, but I'm not going there. If anything, I would say Lori got the character arc to become the second motherly type, but those are the three characters I think that they would pick. However, I'm not sure if I'm mistaken, but I think on their stage, I think I can see one of the characters in the house. I think it's Lola? Can't quite tell.
Possibly.
They're probably gonna put all of them in there, or maybe put them as alts.
All colors, yeah.
Loud House, I can definitely see them doing like all of the louds as background elements, like Terry Stage and Smash with all the King of Fighters and Fatal Fury characters.
Yes.
Honestly, I hope that Lincoln and Lucy are the only two.
They won't. I'm telling you right now, they won't.
Please.
That's why I said
I'm sorry.
I'm hoping the same thing.
We hope.
As funny as it would be to see like Lisa in maybe a robot suit, that's still a 4-year-old, and I don't want to beat that up. So.
Same.
Okay.
Right.
Next up, Bunsen is a Beast. Another Butch Hartman show.
Yeah.
No comment.
I didn't watch this show, but maybe the character of Bunsen. I don't know.
If it's Bunsen, it definitely makes sense.
Yes.
But what definitely hurt me a little, and I think a lot of other people, is that the teaser for Bunsen is like you at first saw a crossover of all of Butch Hartman's characters, like the Tough Puppy, Fairly Odd Parents, Danny Phantom. It started with Danny Phantom, which got my hopes up, and then all of them got together in front of the Ghost Portal, and Bunsen came out.
Ouch.
So basically, from what
Yes,
we're
big ouch.
try to Lilo and Stitch this show.
Yeah. All right, the next one. Now this is another show they did dirty by putting the second season and even I think the rest of the first season on Nicktoons TV just to have it die was Welcome to the Wayne, which felt like it was trying to be like Gravity Falls, but in the sense that it also knew what it wanted to do. It had a story arc that was continuing. It had when it first premiered, I was just like, okay. But then they had like this little segment where it's like, did you notice this? Did you notice this? Did you notice this? I'm like, holy crap, no, I didn't notice this. There's a lot going on in this show.
Definitely points for keeping the focus on what they had to.
Yes. So I can see the kids working. They have gadgets. And if the Wayne itself, which is basically a hotel, the Wayne has like a ton of like really weird, strange things going on there. So that can make for a lot of good things. Like the library. The library has like these flying whales in it. Don't ask questions. So,
You can make it like a travel around stage where it's like the platform, it starts in the air and then it comes down on a location. Then it goes up again and lands somewhere else. Those kinds of stages in Smash.
Or
also, I like the fact that it was actually, it had rules. And they started listing out the rules and they stuck by those rules. They stuck to the consistency and its continuities. So, major credit to you guys for staying within your realm. I didn't get to watch the rest of the show, but from what I was watching, they kept referencing it, and they kept having all the rules in place, so good on them.
Just don't make the Wayne Hotel a walk-off.
Yeah. You already did that to one stage. Just don't do it again. Speaking of don't do...
A lot of these stages could end up being walk-offs, so we just gotta pray that it's like, maybe it's like, if they have to have walk-offs, like 1 or 2, at least, and not much else. But let's keep going.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of don't do, here's the next one, The Adventures of Kid Danger. Just,
no comment.
It was live action first, doesn't count.
Ugh.
It doesn't count, just from, it was a live action show first.
Considering the fact that this show only had 12 episodes, I think we're okay to skip this one.
Plus, it ended the same year as it began, so...
Ouch!
Like, that's a big ouch, even for people that actually liked it.
All 2 of you!
Yeah, it survived 5 months. That's how bad it was.
Yep.
Oof.
Now we move on to the next show, which is Rise of the Ninja Turtles, which we already kind of discussed, so we can move on to the next one. Okay, Pinky Malinky.
What the heck is this show?
This did not air on Nickelodeon, this aired on Netflix, and after seeing a few more of the screenshots of it, I finally remembered what the show was actually trying to be, or at least what I heard it was trying to be. This was supposed to be Nickelodeon's version of Gumball.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It was trying to mix in the animated characters with the live-action backgrounds with, like, the whole shaking of the camera.
Was it good?
I don't know.
You know a detail I just noticed about Pinky Malinky? If you look at the picture that's here in the page we're using, the list of Nicktoons, if you look at the actual Pinky Malinky, the actual name, the coloring on the font actually is close to the same like coloring pattern from the early Sonic games.
Huh.
Interesting.
That's a nice detail. Yeah. Probably just complete and utter coincidence, but it looks similar enough that I wanted to mention it.
All right. The next one is the Casa Grandes, which is a spin-off of the Loud House, and I'll just put this out there. Sure, they could probably put in Ronnie Ann. She does skateboarding stuff, athletic, and probably pulling pranks, so... Yeah, that's hopefully the only character they put in.
Other than that, we can lump it with Loud House and move on.
Exactly. Moving on, it's Pony, which premiered last year. It's still going, but I think new episodes are being moved to Nicktoons TV, which means get the funeral ready.
Wah, wah, wah.
I mean, at least this one won't hurt as much because we don't know the actual quality of it.
I actually did watch it. I did watch it, and I can say it was actually a fairly decent and somewhat funny show. The animation on there had a very distinctive art style where I can't really explain it. You just have to watch it, and you'll be like, oh, okay, that's what he means. It's more like the stuff you see on their face, like how it moves.
So that's another cartoon for the screwed over by the network list.
Yep.
Well,
big time. I could see Pony actually working. If they want to keep the show going, Pony could actually work by himself.
It'd be a good way to get some attention to it, especially since it's ongoing.
Mm-hmm.
At least for now.
Yeah. The next one is Glitch Tex, which, unfortunately, I didn't see this one either because it was a Netflix exclusive, but...
A decent one, at the least?
I've heard it's really good. I've heard that. Basically, it's like they go in and they solve glitches within the computer itself, I think. I have no idea.
Within the system, more or less. Yeah, it's a decent watch, at the very least.
Art style looks good, so could be good.
It is one of those shows that has a lot of spicy content, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, it's neither here nor there.
It would be nice if they were to include this. Let's just put it that way.
Glitch Tex definitely can get at least a reference or so, maybe a character. Yeah, it wouldn't be out of the field.
Hopefully we get maybe a stage. It might look nice.
We can skip the next one, by the way.
And thankfully we can basically just skip the next three, which is Camp Coral, SpongeBob spinoff, the Rugrats reboot, Rugrats already, and the Patrick Star Show, SpongeBob spinoff. So we can thankfully skip all of that.
We can lump those with their original counterparts and move on.
Yes. Coming up to the last one here is that just came out, which is Middlemost Post, which I have not seen.
It's way too new for us to even
to say anything, to be honest.
Yep.
Now, there are some upcoming Nicktoons, but with the exception of one of them, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about them. And, like, are they owned by Nickelodeon now? Or, like, do they just have the rights to do this? Because
the one I'm looking forward to, they have the rights to it. They don't own it, but...
Okay.
Still deserves attention.
Yeah.
Okay, so just saying, it's kind of hard to talk about them, but we can bring up some of the ones that get some attention. There's Star Trek Prodigy, there's Transformers, there's Monster High, there's Adventures in Wonder Park, which was a movie, and then there's mine that I'm going to get to later. But, yeah, pretty much those were all those shows, with the exception...
Right now, sorry, go ahead. No, sorry.
All their shows with the exception of Kablam, which I would really love to see Kablam get put in, but I
That
just...
would be.
Yeah, the others are compilations, I think, right?
Yeah, or miniseries.
And then, of course, if you really wanted to, you have what could be the guest characters, because Nickelodeon and DreamWorks work together on these shows, I believe. You have the Penguins of Madagascar, Kung Fu Panda, and Monsters vs. Aliens, and I think people would go insane for Kung Fu Panda, but I think the Penguins of Madagascar would also be really fun to have.
Yeah.
Kung Fu Panda has the most potential, again, because it's an action show.
Yeah,
Right.
Kung Fu Panda, or the Penguins, after all. People do like the crazy antics of them.
Let me bring this up real quick, but Kung Fu Panda actually had its own Smash clone in the form of Showdown of Legendary Legends.
I've heard of it.
And outside of that, Kung Fu Panda not only was the show itself really good, it's one of those franchises that had a trilogy, and all three were spectacular movies.
Yeah, that's got.
Just a little side note there.
Now, like we said, these could be as guest characters because they're not completely owned by Nickelodeon, but if they get in, I don't think anybody's going to be upset that those at least those two got in. I'm not sure about Monsters vs. Aliens. I'd rather see the other two first. That's just me.
Especially Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, they're most likely because Monsters vs. Aliens only had one season, so...
Yeah.
Okay, so with that said, let's now move on to our requests.
There I am, Gary, there I am!
Okay, let's say if you could pick 5 characters, who would you put in? And yes, you're allowed to put in some of the characters that we've discussed. You can put in some characters that anybody else has already brought up. So who would be the characters that make you say, okay, I'll buy this game? So, Anthony M., I'll let you start.
Okay, so for me, I gotta say XJ9, Timmy, Jimmy, and I really don't know who else I'd put in aside from those 3. I think I listed a lot of the characters that I'd personally want when I was vocal about them during the list.
Okay. Those are still 3 really fine choices. Okay, Gingaman, your turn.
I'm also gonna go for Jenny, and I'm obviously Hugh Neutron, definitely another Nickelodeon meme dad, just to round that out. And there is a very specific hope, for at least for a reference that I have. I mentioned it in the previous recording, but if by some chance there could be at least some reference to the 2003 Turtles, which is basically overall one of the best versions of the Turtles, I'd be fine with at least a reference. Maybe if we get a character from that version, I'd be happy.
Could get an alt.
That and alts definitely, I'd be happy. And from what I'm asking for, it could very well be the Nickelodeon equivalent of Geno in Smash.
Well, I think that's 3 so far. You get 2 more if you want.
I can also see definitely Mr. Krabs with Robo Krabs alt.
Okay.
And possibly, and my last one's gonna be Professor Membrane, because no one is more excited than him ever.
That's not scientifically possible.
That is not.
Okay, Ping, you're up.
Yeah, the first one I would say would be Manny from LD Gray. I could see a lot of potential after all action game, and I already know one of his ults. It could be Frida, since in one episode she took his belt. That one episode, and it became him for a few seconds. And the other ones I can probably think. It's pretty hard to pick. Because I could probably think of I'd like to see maybe Toph or possibly Zuko come in from Avatar. It would be nice to see more representation for them.
Definitely a lot of potential.
Yeah, a lot more potential after all. The only other ones I could think of would maybe be Puma Loco from El Tigre again. I'd like to see him. Give me Mech Grandpa. Yes. Give me Mech Grandpa. I want to see that.
Yeah.
And then the only other one I could... maybe I could probably... That's pretty much too much of a stretch.
Well, you guys are only giving me like 3 each. Ouch.
I'm thinking of one more. It's just like kind of hard to tell.
Alright.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's
Okay.
kind of hard when this is brand new.
Yeah, I understand. Let's see. For my 5, I would say Norbert and Daggett from Angry Beavers. I feel like Jimmy Neutron is almost a guarantee, but I would still go with it. I would say Timmy as well. It's another situation where it's like, just show them off already. Show me how they're going to play. Man, who do I want as like that second place character? I could see XJ9. I didn't really watch that show that much, but I can see a lot of potential. I would like to see if Arnold could get in. I'm not sure.
With Arnold, you can probably put in like the Jungle Movie version. That one's more like matured and more skilled.
Maybe. Maybe one of those two for my second pick. Okay, I just remembered who it was after recording this. It was Rudy from Chalk Zone, but I'd be okay with the other characters I mentioned. But my first one, absolutely, has to be Garfield. If you can put in Garfield, I will buy this game. Garfield is owned by Nickelodeon. He does have a new show coming out. They're working on it.
Yeah,
so...
they got the rights to Garfield just at the last possible second for that.
Oh no! No. I mean, like they got him a couple years ago. So he's definitely a
A couple
Nicktoon.
years ago, still pretty recent. Well, a couple of years ago, still pretty recent compared to all the other Nicktoons that have been around for decades.
Right. However, I will say, like,
Relatively
he's-
speaking.
I will say he is a very iconic character.
Yes.
I feel like anybody can just see that and go like, wow, they put in Garfield? But yes,
Voiced
and,
by
and-
Bill Murray.
no, actually, it's well, I know it's the movie, but who is it? Who does his voice now? It's the same person that did Scooby-Doo and Fred.
Frank Welker.
Yes, that's him. That's
Who's
him.
also the voice of Megatron in Transformers, by the way.
Nice. Oh,
Also Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
Huh.
What?
Frank
Yeah.
Welker voices him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That was Frank Welker.
that was.
So yeah, if you can get me Garfield, I will buy this game. Just and there are other people that would also like to see Garfield. Just saying, if they could do him in the style of Garfield and Friends, that cartoon show, you have a lot to work with.
I'll grant that the hype for Hugh Neutron for this game definitely feels like a lot like the hype for Waluigi and Smash.
Oh, I
The
just
meme
thought,
character.
I just thought of the other two characters. Just thought of the other two characters just immediately. The other ones, real quick, just
Yeah, let's hear him.
I don't know if this counts, but Kappa Mikey probably, if it counts.
Oh.
It had one
See, yeah,
exception.
we brought up like, yeah, there's some shows that Nickelodeon aired, but they don't own them, so
Yeah.
Peppa
It's
Mikey
not a
wasn't on there.
Count it.
Yeah.
I would like
don't-
to.
maybe
I would like to
to.
because I would like to put in Ollie's pack, but that's not happening either.
Yeah, that's true.
Given Nickelodeon's and the developers' willingness to accept fan requests for the roster, I can see them at least
Maybe.
attempting to make negotiation with whoever owns Kappa Mikey now and try to get him in.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
It depends on how much money they're making off of this.
Because we all remember Kappa Mikey specifically because of Nickelodeon.
Mm.
That's just where a lot of us watched that show, and it was a pretty good show. It was a really funny show.
And the last one that I wanted to mention was Shredder, and I would like just to have a funny line where he goes, "But I want to conquer Earth."
That hilarious moment from the 80s
Just don't
cartoon.
give that line to the 2012 Shredder.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
Shredder does
I
not
mean,
doesn't work.
let's be honest. The voice they gave 2012 Shredder was pretty much near perfect for him.
Yeah.
Yes.
He wasn't the first choice, but he was definitely a well fit voice for the character.
Pretty good fed, yes.
All right. So before we wrap things up, is there anything else you guys would like to bring up about the game?
Pretty much the long and short of it for me is that the game so far has the potential, it has the hype going for it, it has the developers actively trying to make that connection with the newly built fan base for this game. A fan base that has grown up with pretty much almost everything that they've shown so far. That gives them a massive advantage. This one on the level of Smash because they have the familiarity. And they can use that as the springboard to sell the game to nostalgia fans like us. However, on the flip side, there is the possibility of them getting way in over their heads and screwing the whole thing over in their rush to
Yeah.
try to capitalize on Smash's success in making their own attempt at that same kind of game, but that at the same time they can just fumble so hard that something like this could never happen again, at least not on this scale, because this game is definitely the closest in terms of many aspects to Smash, and if this one fails, there could be the possibility of something like this not being attempted again, and Smash just being the only one of its kind, which I honestly don't want to see happen. It's okay, it's perfectly fine with having more games like this. You just got to find a way to make it work, and at the same time try to keep a fair balance.
Yeah.
All right. Well said.
Yeah, I wanted to say similar stuff, but yeah, Ginga pretty much nailed the coffin on the head. Yeah, it's pretty much the most accurate way to describe it, really.
So with that, I'd like to thank you guys for being in the discussion. I'd like to thank those who left the comments in the Discord. Speaking of which, you can leave a comment here to let us know who you hope to see in this game, as well as what you think about it so far. And with all that said, I'll see you guys in another video. Later, everyone!
Stay vibing.
Take care, everybody.
Nickelodeon.